Hello Marvel Heroes fans, my name is Wilfred and welcome to my channel. Previously, you may have watched my video on the biggest system update ever. There is a plot entry number 1. This is plot entry number 2, which is the item updates. Previously, just to recap, there will be no more power points. All the powers will be pre-allocated to the max. And also, there will only be like a hotbar. There will not be any hotbar or hotkey dancing. That you have to make use of the available slot to do what you need to do. So to make sure that our build is going to be quite varied, they have something called the talents as well as the trait to augment the power you have, so that although we may be playing the same heroes, we may not be using XSM builds, and there's some variety between you and I. So that is part 1 of the video. Do check my video out on that biggest update ever video. Now today is the item update, so I'm going to focus a little bit more my thought and insight on how I feel about the news that's being announced, and it's going to get a little bit more serious here because now I am still very enthusiastic over the direction of where the game is going. But now that we have something rather specific, so I would like to share my thought with you. For those who are new to my channel, I've done a lot of guides and number crunching behind the scene and analysis and so on. I must confess that analyzing unique has never been easy in this game, because the unique are kind of like they have a lot of procs inside, a lot of irregularity between the different heroes and so on. And yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a bit, but that is the plot entry number 2. I'm going to link that below in case for some of you who may want to see what the blog is about and how people respond to it. But so this is the part 2 of it, and I presume part 3 and 4 will be on the Omega system as well as the personal difficulty slider. I'm not going to call it here, but I think most likely, or rather to say, maybe they want to make the Omega system infinite, because I see a lot of infinity somewhere in the website here and there, just to hint that maybe you can just keep grinding Omega, which I'm not going to say my thought. You know how much I dislike grinding Omega points, but we'll see how it goes. And another thing is a personal difficulty slider, which I would presume you actually see some hints later on how all these things related, but I think the more difficult the content is, the better the loot quality will be. So it is really, come to think on it, it is really heading towards Diablo 3. I know. So we'll see how it goes. Now, the very first thing is that right now we have a lot of unique. You and I have a lot of unique for all our heroes. Some of them, the majority of them are hero unique, and some of which could be some any hero unique or boss unique, which we have farmed pretty hard. Raid unit, which we have crafted pretty hard as well. So now all these unique come with all this PowerPoint, of course, and after the system update, there will not be any PowerPoint allocation. So any unique that with a PowerPoint to it will be converted into something else. What is something else? Well, the short answer is very simple. It will be converted into like attributes, be it strength, energy, or fighting, or durability, or whatnot, what have you. And that will be part of it. Another thing is that they may have some other bonuses as well. So they are not really going to specific on what other bonuses are, but it's just something to think about on how the whole thing will be retuned for the unique you have and I have. But spoiler alert here, doesn't really matter anymore. In the new paradigm, all the unique that we have here is just like a temporary stopgap between the near future and what the future will be. So yeah, why would I say that? Well, anyhow, let's take a look at the unique here. Just for example, you have the unique on the left, which is what we have today, and in the near future, we have the unique on the right hand side. So as you can see, some of these like ranks to all power, spider DNA, whatnot will be converted into +2 fighting and +2 strength. But overall, there's also a buff to all the other stats that you see there. So I think the attribute is more like a consolation in some sense, but the rest of it will be buffed accordingly. Another example is that like this one is for Ultron. Instead of all these ranks you may have like +5 durability and +5 energy. Now what am I going to do with the +5 energy for my hybrid build? I do not know, but again, don't think too hard about it. It's just a stopgap. Things will change drastically. So So those are examples of what would happen on the day one when this biggest system update ever hit live server. And so all our unit will be again re-itemized in some sense. And so any other things like the pet also have the cosmic tier of it. I think some of us may have farmed the tokens to have the +1 to all power on the team insignia as well. Some of the team insignia may have +1 to melee, +1 to range, or +1 to all power. So all these things will then be converted into something else. They are not really talking too much about those things, but I presume it will be something, they say some fun new power, whatever it is, or we will see. But I think those are small things. The big thing is that they are going to introduce something different to the whole entire loot table. They want to, I think if you look at the traditionally in how the game has evolved, before that it was only the poor quality or uncommon, then so common quality, then you have the green one, you have the purple one, and then I think very early on they have introduced the cosmic gear, which is more like a random kind of affixes, and with some +1 power here and there. All right, so those are the yellow one that we have today, which a lot of us just feed the pet with it. But I know that there has been a very dedicated camp of people in the forum been always thinking that those were the good days when we could farm like different kind of affixes, look through all the item one by one to compare which are the affixes should we be looking after. So I personally I'm not really into that kind of detail, to be honest. But there are some people, there have been voices, if you follow the whole forum, there has always been a constant voices that they want to bring it back to the cosmic world. But then after that comes the unique gear, which is the time when the X defense has come up. I think back then, just to remind you all, some of you may be new to the game is that I used to play X defense a lot, and I only used to see unique like once a month or like 2 unique per month kind of thing. So it was really, really rare. But now they want to do away with it and sort of like go one level higher. So now, but like I said before, all the unique that you have here, they still are yours. So whatever unique you have here, they're yours. They redesignated some of this plus power into the attribute and other bonuses. But the keyword is no more unique. There will be no more unique in this game. Other tiers still there, but there will be no more unique. So that is the bottom line of it. It applies to any unique that you can think of. Hero unique, any hero unique, boss unique, raid unique, everything will be gone, right? So now, what is going to replace this unique item will be Omega, rarity. So you have the, I think they have the cosmic, after that you have the Omega. Now, a couple of things to share with you. Omega rarity will only drop at level 60, and then after that they talk about this difficulty slider. I presume that even within Omega rarity will have their own kind of rank as well. Much like today, you look at a unique, you have the rank 63, then after that 66, after that 69. So I presume the higher the difficulty is Torment, the better grade the gear will be. That is my speculation. But don't take my word for it. But that's how I would think things will work out in the end. And also the Omega items are being there are 2 components to it. One of them is really randomly affixes. So those of you who has been farming all these limbo rings and so on, you know how it's like. Those of you who have been farming team up gear, you know how it is like. So basically the game just throw you a set of random affixes with a set of random like range to it, and so you keep farming and farming and farming for the affixes that you want. So that would be our new end game. And but then after that, it will also be there's one second component which is called the Omega power. So different hero will have different Omega power to it, and it will modify the whole build that you have. So just to recap, you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think you have 8 powers in your hotbar. Each of those power, I think there'll be 5 options, 5 talent you can overlap with it, augment it in some way to make this 8 power behave a little bit differently. There'll be trait as well to back it up. And on top of it, your gear matter now, which means that your gear, your Omega power will then augment whatever power that you have, the 8 power you have on top of the talent that you have, on top of the trade that you have. So that could be rather interesting as well, because now, you know, it's truly multi-dimension in some sense, all right? So, and then also, I mean, they claim that it will be simple and fun. We shall see. But so I think my first thought, as always, I mean, I look at it in a different angle to it. I look at it more practical angle to it, is that it is good that the gear always drop according to the hero, or hero. So if I'm playing a black cat, it will always give me physical power or plus strength, durability, speed, whatnot. Probably against against target attacking me, or target not attacking me, or attack speed, or crit, brutal, crit damage rating, brutal damage rating, what have you, right? So playing a black cat is alright. But what about if I'm playing an Ultron? So Ultron, I'll need what's that? I'll need the energy, I'll need the physical, I may need the plus energy, I may need the plus strength, I'll need even the summon air damage. Now, if you think about it, right, it is per hero, not per build. So if I'm playing a pure range Ultron, wouldn't I have a lot of junks affixes compared to a black cat, right, player? Because you will keep throwing me things like physical, which I'll throw away. You throw me things like summon air damage, which I'll throw away. So and also for like hybrid hero as well, like Thor, you may have physical and energy, and after that you swap to range, then you have pure energy. So I think some hero, seems to me that some hero may have a higher gearing effort compared to others, because you have to see through quite a lot of like Omega rarity to find the gear that you want. That's how I initially think about it. So we will see how it's going to be like. I don't think there will be a straight answer to it. I wish that somehow the system is smart enough to filter not only for hero but for my build as well. But I think that will be really hard, because they don't really have something called specialization. Like the World of Warcraft, for example, World of Warcraft has something called specialization. So the drop is based on your specialization. So for example, if I specialize my Ultron to be a pure range without summon, then the gear, everything will drop according to what my build is. So it doesn't seem to be that way. So it's a half baked here. It's neither here nor there. So I would think that some hero may be a little bit harder, some hero may be easier in the gearing effort. And also now that we have Omega power being attached onto the gear itself, so I read that so what you're going to do is that you probably pick the gear with the right Omega power that kind of like fun for your build. But does it mean that you'll be having a lot of gear swapping? Because gear swapping in this game is horrible. I must say that, because I can't really recognize what gear to what gear. And unlike, say, a World of Warcraft, that you can have one click of a button, you can switch from tank to DPS, very easy, swapping gear. Because the way I see it is that I will probably have one set of gear that is more for like patrol kind of environment, or just farming kind of thing. Another set of gear is more for a single target, kind of like a raid environment. So how do I then have manage all this gear? I do not know, but so it may get a little bit messy towards the end if they do not have the right tool for us. All right, so there's some thought I have on my mind, and I welcome all the feedback as well. If you have some thought to share, please share it, but please keep it friendly as well, because I do have a very friendly kind of like a community here. I know you may be frustrated, right? I feel a frustration, and but just don't take it out on your fellow YouTuber here, right? So now one of the illustration here is that that the Omega power. So the gear will look something like that, right? So Black Cat. One of the unique item is that I don't think it's by slot anymore, to be honest. It is basically just one of Omega power and 5 affixes that you have. And so you look at all these 5 affixes and say, oh, okay, I'm going to pick some of these things. And what the Omega power looks like is that it will then add one of the power to it. So actually, it's exactly like what I've been asking for, but in a different form that they have implemented. Because I always ask Gazillion that I think my feedback to Gazillion has always been, the gear should change the way that I play the hero. Kind of like, if you play other ARPG, sometimes it happens that way. But the gear right now in this game is, there are a lot of affixes, no doubt, but the affixes to me right now, the unique, are not interesting. I would not offhand recall what is my Ultron, slot 1, like what are the affixes. There are like 12, 13, 14 of them, how am I remember. A lot of them just proc, like the green globin. right? If I do this power, yeah, prop plus 2 fighting. So, you know, I don't have to trigger it, and it doesn't really have to, like, you know, it's not me who trigger that. It's just by random, by chance. And sometimes when I need it, it doesn't happen. So, right? But this one is interesting because it is very clear how you can trigger all these things. So it's exactly what I've been thinking as well. A well-designed hero would be the one that you have to think through, or developer have to think through for us, that what are the power that combine together to bring you the result that I want. So for example, I could, like, you know, in Black Cat scenario, I can lay a trap, right, as I do something. So that's rather interesting, rather innovative. But it's more work for Gazillion. But I think ultimately, it's we shall be the one who is going to enjoy all these things, right? So I think another thing that I need to really think about is that some of these power are these Omega exclusive power, because it means a lot. I would like my heroes to be able to collect all the power that I need to at end game level 60, start from day one. Rather than to hunt for gear just to do a little bit more, or some of this, like, BIS gear that I have to keep hunting until I find that particular Omega power. So I do not know. It seems to me that they may have all this power already laid out. So instead of having to occupying 2 slots that you have, you can use that to something else. So I think some of these, like, power are very much a utilities type of power. They put in the Omega power. That's how I see it, I think. All right, so that's one example. Another example, I think a lot of people suddenly, getting a bit unhappy about this as well, because what if I don't want my shield to bounce so many other enemies and so on? Well, I mean, to be very fair and honest, right? I know exactly where things are come from, because if you play Captain America, the great thing about Captain America is that the whole power cooldown is a little bit dynamic. It depends on where the shields are, because as you throw a shield, there's some shield power you cannot execute. But that's a fun part, because you got to observe where the shields are. I personally would think that having this power is great, because in a patrol environment, sometimes I really wish the shield hit a little bit more target. Because I just love to see how animation go. But I can understand that if you're raiding, going for single boss, then this may not fly, because what's there to hit, right? It's only one boss you want to hit, so why do you need that? But then again, I mean, these are all like just speculation. I mean, that we don't know how many other Omega power Captain America has, so just don't get too worked up by that. I mean, just take it as it is right now. All right. So that's another example. Rocket Raccoon. There are 4 power. It's rather interesting though. I mean, I think they, like, minigun now can pierce target. So that is another example whereby it doesn't give you an extra power, but rather than say it doesn't hit extra target. Well, it hit extra target in some sense because it pierces the target. The minigun. How does minigun do that? But anyhow, so. And also one thing to note is that all these affixes they do for you right now is a very ideal situation, because I think as a Rocket Raccoon, damage rating versus enemies not attacking you is a great thing, because most of the time enemies are not hitting Rocket Raccoon, of course, the pad, the turret, and so on. But I mean, do think about, if this set of things are being applied to another hero, then immediately you think, well, if I'm not playing a stealth hero, I'm not playing a summoner, then the second affix doesn't really make sense for me, right? And even the first affix attack power, I may not even want that. So they illustrate to you on the ideal situation, but I suspect that depending on the number of affixes that we have, hunting for the actual good ones may take a while, may take some time for you to do it. And also, not only that, you have to look at all your 5 slots and to do inventory on, what can you cover across all. I mean, can you imagine one thing, right? If none of your gear has any health in it, what will happen? I do not know, right? So this is something that, sometimes when you hunt gear now in the new era, not only do you need to pay attention to what the gear gives you, but you have to remember or memorize what the other gears that you have to say that, I'm lacking on health, I need health. I need to sacrifice something else for health. So I don't know what is going to happen, man. I mean, it does seems rather tedious to me. I wish that some of these slot will have a very characteristic kind of like affixes, set of affixes. I don't know. We'll see. But I think I think there's one thing that they also talk about is that what about the boss job right now? So if you hunt for like Mana Hydra, there's I think the Viper kind of unique. If you hunt for like other other villains as well, like Sinister, you have the Sinister's chest items and whatnot. So what happened to all those like boss unit as well? So what they are doing is they also remove all these things, and in return, the boss will be rewarding you with more artifacts, medallion, rings, and insignia, and so on. I mean, I don't necessarily think it would be. We will have to see, right? You will have to see. I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, if you give me another set of artifacts, so what? I mean, we have got a lot of artifacts already. It seems like they're removing a lot of things in this game. Just restart everything. It's rather interesting. All right. So now, so if you look at the onward part of it, you see Infinity System. So they're talking about next update is Omega System update, and it's Infinity System. So well, no brainer, it's going to be Infinity. So now. I think in short, this is what is going to happen to you all, and I think also thanks to one of the forum person as well. I mean, Access is a cool guy. He has been a lot of very nice feedback, and developer has been listening to him as well. And just to highlight that Astro, after announcing all this thing by Out of War, there's some clarification going on. So some people ask whether those Omega power like the shield bounce hit 3 extra target, do you need roll for it? So the answer is no. It will always be that many. So a power is a power. There's no change to it. And the 5 of them, the 5 RNG, like the random number generator. By the way, for those of you who wonder what RNG is, it means that it's just random affixes. And and also there will be like 5 to 7 Omega's item per character. So the way I see is that there are 5 slots, so there are 5 power, and then there are 2 extra one, maybe may or may not. So I think for those heroes that today you only have 5 items, then you have 5 items. But if you have more than that, you may have more Omega power. So offhand I can't think of anything, but I think Angela has only 5, right? But if you look at other heroes like Black Widow, she has a lot more unique as well. So maybe to cater for different kind of play style, different kind of power to augment onto your build and so on. So they do 5 to 7. Now it doesn't really sound like a lot to me though, by the way, which could be good and bad, because it seems that the way that I augment my power, there's not really a lot of like a combination to it, right? I mean, there are 5 slots anyway. So either use all 5, right, or you swap out the other 2. So all in all, 3 will be there anyhow. So yeah, that's how I feel. But the rather interesting thing about it as well is that the 5 random number generator seeds, whatever you call it, means the 5 affixes that you have would be you can reroll them, a specific one. So I would presume perhaps it would be like a costume affixes that we have today. They can roll like first affixes, second affixes, third affixes, fourth affixes. That's rather good news though, by the way, because I was a little bit concerned about not only do we have to hunt for all these right affixes, get the nice decent roll, and then after that you have to get the right Omega power to it. So it's a bit weird stuff like that. So anyhow, so now. What would be a possible gearing approach going forward? Because now at low level you can't get the unique. My previous kind of way to do it in my old way was to go to High Town and get unique start from day 1 and start farming unique from day 1, level 1, not level 1, probably like level 5 or 10. But now the strategy is tossed out of the window. So we have to get to 60 first, and then we will start to get the gear. So the only gear worth farming would be the Omega rarity. We will still be looking through quite a lot of it depends on how often those things drop, man. I mean, if those Omega rarity is really rare, then we end up have to mess around with the whole cosmic items which some of you in the forum has been asking to make the cosmic item useful again. Maybe that's how they do it. I do not know. I'm probably not looking too much forward to going through all my yellow item, because I don't have the Omega one. But let's just say let's just be positive, because we never know what it is. and it tends to just think all the words ending kind of thing. No, I mean, the right approach is just to just listen to it and see how it goes. And after you find the omega rarity, so each I suppose each hero would be having like the 5 of them or 7 of them. But I think the challenge really is to find the right affixes. Not only for the gear though, it's for all the entire heroes. So the way I see is that I'm looking at 25 affixes, right? Because like I said before, I don't think I can afford to have a hero that do not have any health in any of those slots. So if I have no health, then it's really a glass cannon, right? But or maybe that's the idea, right? Some people really want to go for glass cannon, and there you go, there you have it. You have 0 health against all the item, but you have ultimate kind of like a lot of like create a brute or whatnot, what have you. So I don't know. It may create some really rather interesting example, things that happen. And after that, you reroll that affixes, and that's it. I mean, that is really the. I mean, that's how I see it. That's how I visualize myself gearing for heroes in the future. So is it fun or not? I do not know. You guys let me know. All right. So now, what are my thoughts? So some of you, I mean, I've already talked a lot about my thought in my previous slides, but I think I see a lot of good thing. I have some concern, and there's some interesting thing to think about. So now let's elaborate on that, right? So I've gone through a lot of like number crunching and so on. I looked through a lot of heroes and so on. I know that when I say dated hero design, it's not only on the power itself, but also on your unique. And the way I see it is that power creep comes from several kind of like sources, right? So the hero power tuning, yes, it affects how the hero perform, so make the newer heroes seem really strong. And the power design, of course, it matters as well. Some of the newer heroes have really fanciful kind of like a power that the data heroes do not have. They feel more exposed. But more so though is a unique design, because if you look at the newer heroes, the unique are pretty fantastic. They cover many systems pretty well. I mean, some of these newer hero, you don't need to work too hard, and your health is like all the way up there. But compared to some of the data heroes, and you only have like 16,000 health, right? So imagine, right? Just imagine with me, when this happens, all the heroes will have very similar affixes available to them, right? Of course, you compare apple to apple, right? So you compare heroes like pure physical and melee hero, like Black Cat versus Hulk versus maybe some other heroes as well, Electra and so on. Affixes will be all the same. The only difference would be some of this utility or some of this like Omega power that augment the build. So what the result is that Gazillion could possibly be able to balance all the gear rather easily, right? Because they are all the same within the same kind of class makeup and so on, or kind of like build makeup and so on, be as like a hybrid, non-hybrid. So it becomes a lot easier for them to look through, and so the power creep could be something of the past, right? Because if something is so transparent, even any new heroes, maybe 2 years down the road, they are having the same kind of fixes, same kind of range anyway. So it's very transparent. There's really nothing that you talk about dated unique design or Omega rarity design versus a new one. There's no such thing anymore. So to me, it's a big plus, right? Because then you can pick up any heroes, and it's they are forever young, right? Forever green. And also from a farming perspective, now this is a little bit rather controversial, but I think I can see that it may appear that it has lesser affixes to look through, right? For example, if you look at the unique right now, there are like, I don't know, man, 14 kind of like affixes there. It's a nightmare to compare one item to another item and think, okay, should I get the crit or should I get the crit damage rating? And you have to go through a lot of mathematics to kind of figure through all these things, right? Not only that, you may have like boss unique as well. It's like, should I get the raid kind of like item versus should I stick to the hero kind of like item, or should I stick to this like boss kind of unique It's a lot of thinking behind it, how the trade-off between crit and crit damage rating versus like damage rating and so on. Now, of course, I could do that, but not everybody would enjoy the kind of mathematics behind it. So to me, it'll be rather simple, right? Just 5 affixes. Does it come with all these rubbish affixes like, things that I do not need? That's way away, right? Immediately. It's much like the team-up gear as well. The moment you look at the affixes, you say, wow, those are rubbish. Throw, right? So it will be pretty much the same thing. And now you don't need to worry about range anymore because you are hunting for the affixes, hunting for the omega power. So I think, in my opinion, making decision on the gear could be a lot faster. So it's more fighting, less looking through the whole list and say, oh man, should I do this or that, right? And the other thing that I find it rather refreshing is that sometimes when I look at the unique, it's like, well, you give me all this like range power whatnot, but then my hero is not really a range hero, right? I pick a melee build, and you don't design one unique for me. Maybe Winter Soldier or some of these heroes. Maybe Screw Girl. I want to play a full range one. But I can't. I have to pick up, this unique there, that unique kind of thing. I have to hunt for all this unique. Dr. Doom. Maybe you want to say I want to play a summoner, and guess what? You have to farm an ape. You have to farm Minister Sinister. You have to farm, farm this, farm that, farm Dr. Doom as well. And now you don't need to, because all you need to do is just keep farming the same gear and look for those affixes that fit your build, right? So you basically build your gear. You don't need the Gazillion to build for you, and after that you say, I don't like it, right? So to me, it's a plus, right? So now let's take a look at the minuses, right? So now, of course, with all this change, this is a total reset. Let's be very very open here, right? I mean, this is a total reset. There's no other way to camouflage it. Basically, they get rid of the all unique. Those unique we have is a stopgap between the October, November to the part whereby we get all the full Omega rarity items, right? Because they say that it's more expandable, it's more powerful. That's what they say. But don't look at the stat right now. Look at what the stat will be in the future. So a lot of you, I understand, has spent a lot of time farming for all these like a perfect, I know as well. I farm for Mr. Sinister close to 200 times farming him, and it's really no fun. Some of you may need to farm Rascal and so on. So to say that all these unique become obsolete, all those effort that you have put in to get in those unique are all gone. All the raid unique, you may have farmed for like Sutur Rune very hard to get your Twilight, Fragment of Twilight, which I never craft, by the way. I'm quite glad that I didn't craft looking back. But all these things come with all the emotion. I understand that. So I know a lot of you may not be very happy about the fact that all the effort that you have put in is being wiped off. But I think, if you have played other MMO as well, there always come a point in time whereby everything is being wiped. You have your gear today to conquer all the content we have today. Example, World of Warcraft. Whenever you hit the end of the expansion, you start to go raid. You raid for the best gear, the gear tier number 1, gear tier number 2, gear tier number 3 or whatnot. And then after that, you become the top of the world. Like you are, wow, Then guess what? They come out with a new expansion and they raise the level cap. Everything that you have collected become just a transmog. But still, there's a transmog, right? So now, so to me, this kind of like a scenario is not new. Things get reset. But I think my only concern is that if we have a reset, but there's no new content, that is rather like I'm doing the same old thing with the same farming as well. That would actually, I think there's probably something I have a huge concern. I have no concern over total reset. I have no concern over losing all my gears as of today and making all my gears to be obsolete. I have no concern over that. But the only concern I have is that if there is no content that come up to back up all this change, then I would have a rather large concern, because I don't feel like having to run through the same content again to grind more Omega points to get more omega rarity, but it's the same content. Why do I need to work again so hard for the same content? But if they say that, whatever you have chapter 1 to 10, guess what? We have the chapter 11 to 20, totally new content. Another 3 new patrol zones, a revamped X defense, a much better raid that come on board. Now that's different. By all means, reset all my gear. I'm going to play some new content here. But my fear is that it's probably not the case. And my fear is that if I am to go through the same, Cosmic High Town, just to farm the same set of gear, I mean, not same gear, but farm for next tier of gear, I'll probably cry. So that's me. I mean, just to be genuine, right? I mean, sometimes I get excited when the news is good, but sometimes I also want to be honest when the news is a little bit concerning, right? So now, one other thing to ponder is that the credit chest and the relic exchange via your unique. I think right now you have 5 unique you can change for something, the credit chest. Will we be able to do the same for the omega rarity items? I hope so, but I do not know. I haven't heard anything about it, because that has been a really good source of credit, at least for me, because I do a lot of theory crafting, a lot of build. I need to swap a lot of gears like the blessing and so on. It costs a lot of credit. Even affixes rolling costs credit. So I'm really hoping that the exchange program will still there. And also another concern is how easy or how difficult to obtain the omega rarity items, because knowing Gazillion well, during the initial couple of months, they're going to starve us with all these things because they make it so hard that people feel as though they fight for it, right? They have to earn it. So, I always go back to the example, right? You can go back to the history of Marvel heroes. Every new item that they launch, what will happen is that day one, they are plentiful. They need to spread the word, right? Generate hype. Like the Man-Ape terminal that first came out. A lot of great stuff inside, right? It dropped like all the gears just everywhere. Day one, right? Then after that, day two, they close the loop. They say that, okay, that was a bug or whatnot. Then suddenly everybody starved, and we have to start working very hard to it, and some of us start to show our pain and frustration in the forum and so on. And throughout maybe a couple of months down the road, they will start to commoditize. So it's making a commodity, right? So everybody has it. So at first they want to generate hype. After that, they want some to have it so that you all look upon them in envy, and you also want to play hard to get it. But after a while, it becomes a commodity. So why do I want to talk about this? Is that whatever happens in the next couple of months after October, November, I think just stay cool. Maybe I'm trying to talk to myself. You never know all these things. I've seen it time and time again. They do the same strategy. Anyhow, so now as a veteran, do I have any advantage towards the casuals? Or no, sorry, I mean the new players. I doubt so too much, because all my recipes are gone. All my basically anything that I store up for the gears and all these sports unit that I've stored up as well are gone. All the crossbone unit that I farmed so hard for what, right? So they're gone as well. So I think it's like a total reset. I mean, we are all amount equal, and we'll start again from day one. Because I think we can still play our hero rather effectively, but I don't know. We have to see. Maybe as a veteran with all the 69 kind of unique will be easier to go for the higher difficult setting, jumping a little bit on the progress itself, but we'll have to see. I mean, the whole farming process, if something that drops only once a month or 2 times a month, I don't know, right? So, and anyhow, thank you very much for watching, and as always, drop the comments below. I always try my best to read and reply. I always enjoy hearing from your perspective as well, because like it or not, we all love this game or hate this game, but we still care about this game. So see you next time. I look forward to talking about the Infinity Omega system later on, as well as the difficulty setting. All right, see you. Goodbye.